in terms of customer experience, Shep, I mean, again, the book you've written here is amazing. It's actually, it's titled Amaze Every Customer at Every Time.
And that's what it's meant to do.
And it's got some really great insights in terms of what's involved in that. And I think in this region, in Asia Pacific, Japan, customer experience has become a real hot topic. But what's your definition of customer experience when it comes to amazing customers? What's a really short definition for you?
Well, a short definition. Well, the original definition is customer experience was customer service, and then it started to expand beyond just the interaction that you have one-on-one with people. And that is, it goes all the way into the company deep. It could be somebody in the warehouse. If they don't do their job well and the customer receives their product and they open it up and it's not properly packed, or maybe there's an item missing, you've just destroyed the customer experience. And that had nothing to do with the one-on-one interaction that customer might have had with somebody on the phone or maybe even in person. So experience has broadened the definition of customer service and really broadened it beyond just interactions that you have with people.
I think that's a great insights, and what you've touched on there is the evolution of experience, moving from what was seen as a customer service responsibility to now what is, as you sort of led to there, is an enterprise-wide topic. So end of the day, from the CEO down to the frontline stuff.
So I like to use a simple line. It's my favorite line that I like to just share with people, and that is, customer service is not a department. It's a philosophy. It's to be embraced by everybody within the organization, which means you're transitioning into the customer experience, and that's everybody's job.
I love that link to it being a philosophy, because I passionately believe in that as well. Again, when I look at customers here in this region, they're struggling with moving away from the concept of customer experience and customer experience management, and are looking for ways to start their journey, and whether it's from leadership to culture. Again, can you share some insights on what you think is needed in that respect?
Sure. Well, first of all, the very first tool that's in the book, and by the way, this has Amaze Every Customer Every Time, has 52 specific tools, tactical, if you will, ideas and tools that you can use to implement. And the very first one is in the leadership section, and that is act like an owner. And that's everybody's job. Act like the owner or the CEO of the organization. And where this came from is there was an 18-year-old kid that was sitting in my audience. I was doing a program for basically the city of, well, all these ski resorts they combined, and prior to the winter season taking place, they put everybody into this program on how do we deliver a better customer service experience. And this 18-year-old kid comes up to me and he said, I just had the greatest compliment the other night. I want to share it with you. I go, what was that? He said, one of our guests, and he works at a pizza restaurant, one of our guests thought that I was the owner or the owner's son and asked me, are you the owner? And I said, no, why would you ask? And the guest said, because you just take so much pride compared to the other people that are here. And he thought, wow, at that moment, he thought, I want everybody that comes in here to think that I'm the owner. I want to be that good. And I think that's really cool that somebody would step up. Now, a couple of things are happening. Number one, the owner really is somebody he wants to emulate. He looks up to that person. So that is a great role model. And that's important, that leadership has to provide great role models for others to aspire to be like, because they set the tone, they demonstrate what's right. So that was important. Number two is the owner actually empowered this young man to do the best job that he could. And I think that's another important key, that the best companies empower their employees to be able to act like an owner, if you will.
So Shep, how does a company get started in creating a culture that's really customer-centric?
Well, customer-centric, customer-focused, I think they're the same terms. The idea behind that is that everything you do is focused on the customer. And remember, I said customer service isn't a department, it's a philosophy, which means that everybody has to be involved. So I'm going to give you a simple map, if you will. 6 steps. Now, simple doesn't mean easy. It can take a long time to actually implement this, but here it is. Number one, it's all defined at the top. Define is number one. Define what that service initiative, that service vision is. For example, the Ritz-Carlton, one of my favorite companies, has a 9-word credo. It's we're ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen. That's their vision, and that's their definition of what great service is. So you define it, and then you need to communicate it. I call it to disseminate it. That's a second D. define, disseminate, and you communicate it properly. Make sure everybody understands it, but that's not enough. You can't just say, hey, here it is, go do something. No, you have to now deploy it, okay, which means you train people. Now, a customer service department who actually answers phones and gives support is going to get a little different training than somebody in the warehouse or somebody in the accounting department or in HR, but everybody has to be trained because it's a culture. It's not just, you know, hey, we're going to give great service. It's part of the culture. So now you deploy by training. Then leadership's job is to demonstrate it. You can't say you're going to do something and then act a different way. You must be congruent. Walt Disney is one of my favorite examples of this. Mr. Disney would walk through the theme park, and if he saw a piece of paper on the ground, he'd reach down and pick it up and throw it away. He knew that everybody else was watching him. All of the employees, which they call cast members of Disney, were watching him. He called this stooping to excellence. It's a great concept. He stooped down, threw it away, because he knew that if he had to demonstrate to everybody what the right behavior was. The next D is to defend it. So that's number 5. You've got define, disseminate, which is communicate, deploy, which is train, demonstrate, which is obvious, and defend. And defend means if you see it going out of alignment, that's the job. If you see one person going out of alignment, use it as a teaching opportunity, ideally. I once asked a CEO what he felt his major responsibility was in the big, huge company that he worked in, and he said, my job is to defend the culture. Wow, that was powerful. And then the final D is to delight and celebrate it. When it's working, let people know and appreciate them for it, because when, you know, you mentioned happy customers, or happy employees, happy customers. And the reality is it's not quite that simple, but it is, again, it's a simple concept. You try to engage that employee and fulfill that employee, and a fulfilled employee is a more engaged employee and will go to the mat for you. They'll go to that extra mile to take care of that customer. So anyway, those are the 6 steps, simple as it sounds, not always easy to execute, but it's a good framework to start with.
I've got a follow-up question to that. I mean, from an execution perspective, how long does it take a company to go from maybe an old autocratic style company that knows now it needs to change?
Right.
Is this something you can do at a drop of a hat, or is this a long-term commitment?
Well, it depends how small the old autocratic company is. If there's 3 employees, it's very easy. Size matters in this case, and smaller is better from the standpoint of quick and fast. However, a large company does take time. There's several things that are an issue. Number one, you probably have people there that don't belong in the right, they're not in the right job for the culture you want to create. So a couple of things, either you have to train them and get them to shift their mindset, or find other jobs for them, or over time, attrition you'll be able to replace with the good people. So that takes time in itself. And if you've got a company that has 10,000 people, 20,000 people, you've got departments and probably different divisions, and the goal is everybody's got to be on the same page. That takes time, it takes training, and it takes buy-in, and buy-in at the top so that they can go out and demonstrate it. So really it does take time. It could take 2 to 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a little longer.
And I guess you never stop. I mean, it's
you never stop. It's a process, it's a journey, it's not a destination.
Obviously, people, process, and technology are 3 core pillars that we hear a lot about in terms of needing to come together. What's your view on technology and the role of technology in that equation?
Sure. Well, technology is transforming the way service is delivered today. I think one of the coolest things that's happened, and I use the airlines as an example because they're a perfect example. By using technology, they've made a better customer experience. And by the way, no matter what the technology is when it comes to customer service, there needs to be a fallback, and that fallback is a human on the phone or in person, being able to support somebody that has a problem. But here's what the airlines did. They created a system that allows you to go onto the computer online and buy your ticket without any help. And by the way, they trained the passenger to do this. And the way they did it was creating incentives. They said, if you would book online, we're going to give you an extra 500 bonus miles. We'll give you $25 off your ticket. In other words, if you didn't use online, you were going to get charged an extra $25. But that was the incentive. And all of a sudden, the passengers were migrating to that because they figured it out. The next thing they did is they figured out how you could check in online. And you can actually, if you were not even checking a bag, there's a pretty good chance if you did it right, you can buy your ticket, check in online the day before, get to the airport, go straight to your gate, and the first airline employee that you'll encounter is somebody at the gate. Okay, and if you think about that, that's amazing. That's not bad. That's a very good thing. They've created a system. The best system, however, needs that backup, because as soon as that passenger has a problem, what are they going to do? they're going to call and they're going to talk to somebody, or they're going to see somebody at the airport. And everything that's been working so far so well can be destroyed at that moment if it's not handled properly. So I pick up the phone and I have to wait 45 minutes to get that customer service rep on the phone, or I look at the line and there's 50 people in front of me. What am I going to do? I'm going to panic, I'm going to get stressed out, and no matter how well the airline's done and everything else, they've just destroyed it.
Yeah. Well, on that, I mean, again, talking about the negative side of where companies get it wrong, I mean, what are some of the classic mistakes you see, irrespective of the brands, the industries, the geographies you operate across? What are the one or two things that businesses need to think of what to do? Well,
let's go back to the technology thing, the whole self-service concept, which, by the way, that is probably one of the front runners of self-service customer service using technology. Not having the fallback is number one, and making it easy for the customer to get to somebody. And as we talk about a concept called effortless customer service, where a customer is taught what to do so that they can have the easiest experience possible. If you go onto a website and you type in what your product is, maybe it immediately takes you to a video on how to use that product. Or I bought a ping pong table. I was struggling to set it up. I put the name of the manufacturer and the model number into a Google search, and up popped a video. And it was like having the person standing over my shoulder telling me exactly what to do. What I couldn't find on that website, but by the way, I didn't need it, but I looked around anyway because that's just the nature of what I do. I couldn't find a phone number on that page for me to call. I think a big mistake that companies make is not being easy to connect with. In the US, we have Zappos, Zappos.com, and every single page has their phone number and contact information. 24-hour-a-day telephone support. And I think you look at how easy it is to connect with somebody. That's a big part of what that, ultimately the backbone of the customer experience is.
That's great. And I've got one last question for you, Shep, and it's actually relates to your epilogue in your book here, which I really loved this when I got to it. It was basically an idea that I had never really thought about, and really it's about creating a demanding customer. Can you share some insights on what you mean by that?
Well, I love the concept of creating a demanding customer. And as I first talk about this, most people would say, what do you mean by demanding? You want them to complain? You want them to whine about their problems to us? And the answer is no, that's not what a demanding customer is. But by the way, we want them to demand of us. We want to create a comfort where that customer knows that they can call us and get what they need done. But we want to be so good. We want to be so good that if our customer, for whatever reason, were to leave and go to a competitor and ask or expect the same level of service that we have created, that competitor would say, we don't do that. That customer is being demanding, okay? And what we're doing basically on our end is we're setting the standard. We want to be so good that if our customer goes elsewhere, they'll find out that what we offered was the very best.
Beautiful, Shep. I mean, I really thank you for sharing these insights. Again,
my pleasure.
I'm looking forward to the next book. I really encourage everyone to grab a copy of this book and read it. And again, like I said, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, man.
Take
pleasure.
care.
Thank you.
No problems at all. Cheers.